So I'm Sebastian Tomich. I run advertising for the New York Times, and this was my first NewFronts West. So our presentation, let's do it in 30 minutes and 30 seconds. So the broad theme was that there is a very dominant news cycle right now. Doesn't matter where you kind of land on the political spectrum, everybody's seeing it, and it's commanding attention. But if you can get underneath all of these political stories, you're going to start to see some other big trends emerging. And that's one, the rise of interest in new cultures. Two, the idea that people want to go deeper than ever. There's been this mass narrative that it's all about short attention spans and 5-second videos, but actually people just want to learn more. And then third, because of new technology and how much it's changing everyone's lives, there's just this obsession to basically live a better life. So every little hack thing, improvement, people are researching, trying to do more and more and more. And we presented a whole slate of kind of creative and product ideas that are tied to those. So new cultures, just this idea of covering culture, we said, there's this broad spectrum. So you've got the Met Opera on one side, which is very much kind of elite New York culture. And then you've got Drake's album release on the other, which gets your 100 million page views. But sitting beneath that is basically the entire country and a whole world of creative communities, creators themselves. And we wanted to get to them and also just surface who they were to kind of a mass readership. So we did an experiment this year. The whole platform was called Surfacing, where we brought in new diverse journalists who basically could write, shoot video, shoot photography, and do their own social media live from the field. So the way we said it was kind of like culture hunting, where a journalist documents their journeys along the way. And the experiment was such a success that we're going to double down on it next year. We're going to do a whole experiential series where basically when they find these communities, they're going to create events around them. They're going to do a whole social first series. So the Times, just in general, has never been social first. This will be the first team to do that. And then third, they're going to do a whole kind of brand activation series where we think about beyond advertising, really interesting creative collaborations where a brand can come in, activate a subculture, and then build a whole experience around it. So no matter what, you have an editor. We're always going to have the New York Times editorial there, making sure that it's up to par. I actually think that that's the exciting opportunity. I think people conflated the kind of social media opportunity with people's interest in just reading really good stuff, reading or watching or listening to really good stuff. But you actually combine those two things together, I actually think there's very few examples of that out there. And that's kind of the mission of the team. So no matter what, no matter if we're doing Instagram stories or we're doing Snapchat, there's still going to be the New York Times editor making sure that it's as high quality as possible. I think there's so many different things. I mean, I said earlier about this idea of going deeper. And I just think that that's a revelation because kind of pressures of social media were causing media companies to reverse engineer journalism and great storytelling to basically fit these short form formats. And I think what you lost in it was just great stories that people love. And there is time out there. People are willing to give their time if the stories are great. So in terms of where we go, we're looking at all of these new technologies like audio, like AR, in some cases VR, to tell just better stories. And we're not going to rush in and try to be first or innovate for innovator's sake. The idea is let's find a story that people love and then let's apply it to these new platforms and let's show people what we can do in a huge way. So VR, audio, we presented actually all of this on stage today, but it's a huge opportunity. Our vision, just kind of point blank, is to help brands matter more in the world. We think that people care about important stories. People care about aligning with brands that share the same values as them. And no matter what the format is, the New York Times is never going to be an audio-only company or an AR-only company or even just a text-only company. The idea is we will find the most important stories in the world and direct people's attention to those.